Okay, so picture this. Sun-drenched hills, vineyards as far as the eye can see. You're cruising down a quiet road, maybe on a Vespa, and the air smells like cypress trees.
Sounds idyllic.
Right. That's Tuscany for you. And today we're diving deep, going beyond the tourist traps and helping you plan an unforgettable trip.
I'm excited to dig in.
Our guide this time is this fantastic Travel Plus Leisure article, fresh off the press. They actually got an American expat who lives in Rome to write it, so you know we're getting the good stuff.
Insider perspective is key. So what gems did this expat uncover?
She dives right in with her top 5 can't-miss list. And it's not just your typical tourist traps. She recommends this luxurious hotel, Borgo San Felice. It even has a Michelin-starred restaurant. For a completely different vibe, she suggests wine tasting at the Antinori nel Chianti Classica winery, which just screams classic Tuscany, you know?
Right? It's like getting a taste of the region's soul.
Exactly. Then, for you antique lovers out there, she recommends the Arezzo Antiques Fair. Happens every month. Imagine finding those one-of-a-kind treasures.
A unique souvenir to take back home. I love it.
And of course, she raves about Siena. She actually says it rivals Florence in terms of beauty and history.
Siena often gets overshadowed, but it has this incredible medieval charm.
We'll definitely have to unpack that later. Speaking of hidden gems, let's talk about where to stay. The article has a great mix of places, from charming agriturismos to lavish villas, something for everyone.
I was intrigued by El Rigo. Imagine waking up in a restored farmhouse, fresh bread, surrounded by olive groves and vineyards. The whole experience just screams authenticity.
Sounds incredible. Now, on the flip side, there's Il Salviatino, a 15th century villa overlooking Florence. Talk about a luxurious blast from the past. Oh, and she mentions Villa Ardor. It's a 16th century farmhouse turned luxury rental. Perfect for a group trip. And get this, it's actually owned by one of the experts she interviewed for the article.
That's a nice touch. You can tell she really tapped into a network of people who are passionate about Tuscany.
For sure. So now that we've talked about where to stay, let's move on to the what to do. And of course, no trip to Tuscany is complete without experiencing the amazing food.
Absolutely. Gotta indulge in that Tuscan cuisine.
But before we get to her specific restaurant recommendations, she highly recommends taking a cooking class, specifically learning to make pasta from scratch.
Now that's an immersive experience. Learning to make pasta in the heart of Tuscany using local ingredients. You're basically bringing a piece of that culinary tradition back home with you.
Beautifully said.
Speaking of bringing things back home, let's talk about the food. Because those taste memories are like souvenirs you can relive again and again. And this article, it does not disappoint when it comes to Tuscan flavors.
You can tell she's a foodie because those restaurant recommendations, oh my gosh.
Like you reading it, I could practically smell the garlic and olive oil.
Right. Okay, so this one immediately caught my eye. Osteria di Fonterutoli. And it's not just the food, it's the whole setting. Imagine you're dining outside surrounded by those Tuscan hills, vineyards stretching out.
Ugh. Stop, I'm getting hungry.
Seriously. She even highlights this specific pasta dish, Eliconi, with wild boar ragu and mushrooms. I mean, come on.
It sounds like the essence of Tuscany in a bowl.
Exactly. Then there's Trattoria Belmicol, which seems to embody that whole farm-to-table philosophy that Tuscany's known for.
Oh yeah, that fresh, seasonal, local thing.
She mentions they have this huge cheese selection, which always gets my vote.
Who doesn't love a good cheese course, right?
Okay, but we can't talk Tuscan cuisine without mentioning the wine.
It's true. The region is practically synonymous with amazing wines.
And she clearly agrees because she recommends Enoteca I Terzi in Siena. Get this. Over 1,800 wine labels.
Wow, that's not a wine list. That's a wine library.
Right. Imagine just getting lost in that place. And for a truly special night out, maybe a splurge, she suggests Il Pelicano, this Michelin-starred restaurant. It's at Hotel Il Pelicano, perched on a cliff overlooking the sea.
The view alone must be worth the price of admission.
Right. Okay, so we've covered luxury, we've covered rustic charm. It's amazing how Tuscany really does cater to every kind of traveler, doesn't it?
It really does. Whether you're a foodie, a history buff, a nature lover, there's something for everyone.
Okay, speaking of history buffs, I'm dying to hear more about Siena. But before we get to those hidden gems, let's talk logistics. If someone's planning a Tuscan adventure, when should they go?
All right, so timing your trip. The article makes it clear Tuscany is pretty much a year-round destination, but there are definitely some seasonal considerations.
Like what? Give me the lowdown.
Well, summer, no surprise, it's peak season, the weather's fantastic, perfect for exploring all those hilltop towns.
Was always a but, right?
Well, with summer comes the crowds. And those prices, they go up too.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. So if you want those deals, maybe a little more breathing room.
She suggests spring or fall, that shoulder season sweet spot.
Makes sense. Less crowded, hopefully still decent weather.
And she points out something really important. Some hotels, especially those in the countryside, they close down during the winter.
So if you're picturing that cozy farmhouse getaway in December,
Might want to double check those dates.
got it. So it's all about figuring out your priorities, bustling summer energy or that peaceful off-season vibe.
Exactly. Although imagine wandering through those Christmas markets in Florence or Siena.
Oh, that does sound pretty magical. Did the article mention anything about planning your trip around specific events?
Oh, yes. For something truly unique, she suggests the Palio di Siena. It's this historical horse race, happens twice a year, July and August, and it's a huge deal.
I've heard about that. It's not just a race, it's a whole spectacle, deeply rooted in the city's history.
And then for the foodies, there's the White Truffle Festival in San Miniato during the fall. Can you imagine the aroma?
Oh my goodness. I can practically smell it now.
Those truffles are like culinary gold. And speaking of gold, let's talk transportation because the article is very clear on one thing.
Hit me with it.
Rent a car.
Non-negotiable.
Pretty much, especially if you want to explore those back roads, those little villages, at your own pace.
Makes sense. You're not going to get that freedom with trains and buses.
Exactly. And her practical advice. Book that rental car in advance, especially if you need an automatic.
Noted. Okay, so we've covered logistics, we've devoured the food section, we've talked where to stay. I'm ready for those hidden gems. Okay, lay it on me. What hidden gems did this article uncover? Where are those places even most Italians haven't discovered yet?
Well, since we've been talking about it all episode, let's start with Siena. You know, we touched on that whole rivalry with Florence.
Yeah, like a Tuscan showdown.
Right. And it's not just about local pride. It's that each city has its own distinct personality. Siena is special because, get this, it's considered one of Italy's best preserved medieval cities.
Wow, seriously, like stepping back in time.
Exactly. And at its heart, you have the Piazza del Campo, this incredible shell-shaped main square.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Stunning architecture, think Gothic palaces, and of course that's where they hold the Palio horse race we were talking about.
Right, right. Now, I'm curious, the article mentioned those experts she interviewed. Did any of them weigh in on Siena?
Oh, for sure. One of them even said it's her absolute favorite place in all of Tuscany.
High praise. Okay, Siena is officially at the top of my list now. What else is there?
All right, so if you're an art enthusiast, Pietrasanta is calling your name.
Pietro, tell me more.
It's this fascinating city known for its marble processing, like way back to Michelangelo.
Whoa, seriously.
Yeah. Today, it's a haven for contemporary art, especially sculptures.
So basically, you walk down the street and it's like an outdoor art gallery.
You got it. Now, for something totally different, Lucca. This place has a magical, almost fairy tale-like vibe.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
The article highlights the Guinigi Tower, but here's the catch. It has a tree growing out of the top.
Wait, what? A tree? You're messing with me.
I'm serious. A tree on top of a tower, only in Lucca, right?
That's incredible. I love those little quirky details, you know? It's what makes travel so fun.
Absolutely. It's about those discoveries, those unexpected moments. And speaking of discoveries, the last hidden gem she recommends is Val d'Elsa.
Okay, Val d'Elsa. I'm adding that to my list. What's so special about it?
Picture rolling hills, vineyards, olive groves, just that quintessential Tuscan landscape, but without the crowds.
Sounds like the perfect place to unwind, escape the hustle and bustle.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of this article, right? It's not just, here are the famous sites, go check them off your list. It's about capturing the different ways you can experience Tuscany, whatever speaks to your soul.
This has been amazing. We've covered it all. Luxury villas, Michelin-starred dinners, charming farm stays, those hidden gem towns.
Right. And those little details, like the tree on the tower or that specific pasta dish, those are the things that make a trip memorable.
It's all about finding what resonates with you, right?
Yeah.
And this deep dive has given our listeners all the inspiration they need to plan their perfect Tuscan adventure.
Exactly. Who knows, maybe they'll even discover their own hidden gem, their own little slice of Tuscan paradise.
And that's what it's all about. Until next time, happy travels, everyone.